What is up, DTube, Steam blockchain? So I decided to do a second video, a second video, a second video talking about Hex. So the reason why I want to do a second video, so the first video was just pretty quick, it was pretty short, and it was mainly just talking about the concept a little bit, because people usually get very triggered if you I mean, this is one of these projects that it's one of these projects that people probably know about, but it's one of these things where you may not know exactly what your view should be on it. So from someone like me that has invested a couple of days, or maybe no, actually a couple of months trying to understand the concept, and I mean really a couple of months, like intense focus on something and like really try to understand it. It's kind of interesting, okay? It's kind of interesting. Now, why is this project? This is a project from Richard Hart. And why is this project kind of interesting in the crypto industry compared to a lot of other stuff? Is it a project that is doing something unique that we never seen in the past? I think so. And what I mean with that is the founder of the project is like really slaying it with videos. He's doing a lot of videos, really in depth, and he really seems to care. I have never seen this in the past. Now, the other projects, usually the other projects in the crypto industry, maybe they buy some ad or something, maybe they do put up a website, maybe they do a few videos, right? But if you look at this, if you look at the amount of videos Richard Hart has been doing, going in depth, explaining things, you know, it's like it's with more intensity than anything else I ever seen, okay, in this industry. And that's just impressive. Like, that's really impressive because these videos are really interesting, to be honest. They go really in depth. And it really is a lot of, from what I hear, it sounds very sensible. It sounds very intelligent. It makes sense. It speaks, from what I hear, it sounds like truth. And that's why this experiment is somewhat interesting. Uh, Especially in terms of game theory. It is kind of fascinating. And I wanted to do a quick video on Hex. So first of all, to understand this project, you almost have to watch hours of video to sort of even grasp the concept. So that's what I have done over months, just to try to grasp the concept. Okay? So, and it's so much intelligence, it's so much game theory that a new person, it's very hard to, like, even making this video, it's very hard for me to like I don't want like mainstream, or in a way I want mainstream people to watch this video, but in another way I know that they're not even gonna grasp the concepts. So that's why I mainly put it on my on places where I know the blockchain people are gonna see it. And that's kind of cool with this industry, that you can like put videos and special kind of information just where your blockchain audience or crypto or token audience are going to see it. Because in a way, yes, you want the mainstream to sort of see the information also. That's why you're putting it on the internet. But you also know that it's like they're probably not going to grasp the concepts that much. And yeah. So the Hex. So how should I say this? So this project is doing one interesting thing. It stakes coins, the Hex coins, and you get interest on the coins every year. And it's built on Ethereum. It's a smart contract. And you get between, now with 70% token staked, right now you get around 5% inflation per year, just printed, but you only get paid at the end of it. And the lowest you can get paid per year is 3.69% interest yearly in a trustless smart contract that lives on the blockchain, that removes the need for a lot of other cryptos if you just want to earn interest from stake. And the reason why this is interesting is because, first of all, you can't do this with Bitcoin because they only pay miners. They don't pay stakers. That's why this project is kind of interesting. You also have some other sort of staking systems, but they are not as well designed as this one, I would say. And this has been up now for around, what is it like? 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 days. Yes, 4 days it's been up. And just using the software, I mean, it's on the blockchain. So in a way, are you really using a software? No, you're interacting with the blockchain. You're interacting with the blockchain. But you can use an interface called go.hex.win to interact with the smart contract. And I should say, this is really a smart contract. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's kind of hard to explain. It's like, it's really hard to like for me, even like the Bitcoin stuff can be like hard to explain to people, but the simple way to like talk about this is like, it kind of is like Bitcoin in a way, but instead of paying the inflation to the miners, you just pay it to the stakers. That sounds like a genius idea, right? And why can they do that? Well, they can do it because they are running a hybrid. They're running a hybrid. Delegate, or you can call it like staking or DPoS plus proof of work. Now, I'm not sure if you should say delegated proof of stake, but it's like, okay, so the reason why they can do this, why they don't have to pay miners in this smart contract, is because they're already piggybacking on Ethereum. So that's kind of clever, right? That's kind of clever that you can just because, yeah, we can make a token easy now, and we can make it in a smart contract, and we can try to make a system and try to use clever game theory to see if we can make a system that just prints, make a system that just prints tokens. Okay? And just because you can piggyback on Ethereum, so you don't have to pay miners, because you already have a network you can work on. I mean, that's why we have Ethereum, right? That people can run experiments on it, just as they did with just as we have had stuff launched on Ethereum, and that make kind of 2017 end kind of become impressive, in price rises. Yeah, you can run experiments on it, and this is basically an experiment in trying to replace this banking feature that banks have called certificate of deposit, where you lock money up and you gain interest on the value. And this is trying to do that same thing, but on the blockchain. And as I said, this project is so interesting because proof of investment from the creator of the network, so Richard Hart, he is showing with evidence, with the amount of time he has invested in doing amazing videos, replying to every question. I mean, that is proof of investment. It's a proof of investment from the founder that he shows he really cares, and he's putting his face out there, and that's really interesting. And like, being in this industry, so I was in this industry 2018, and you saw so much stuff fail. So you kind of see this new project coming along, and I've been, studying it for a year. So because I didn't want to like instantly jump to a conclusion, and I still don't want to do it because I don't know, like, I realize like I'm very ignorant, and I realize there is much more to learn. So I don't know how this is going to play out, this experiment, this hex experiment. But the thing I know is there's a lot of intelligent thought in those videos, and most of it just makes sense. Like, I try, you can try to find something maybe that you don't agree with, but the thing is that Richard Hart is amazing at debates. Like, he's really intelligent, and he basically crushes any opponents he meets. And I never really seen it in that way before. I mean, this is really, like, it's really rare that someone is really highly intelligent in this space that has the experience of doing stuff like be street smart in the past. So he's been doing projects in the past, and it's just very rare that someone also is intelligent and is doing videos and has some or comes out with a project that in many ways looks like it can be a Bitcoin replacer in many ways. Because if you look at Bitcoin, most people are not using it for usability. Most people are just using it for the ROI, for making money, right? They want to make the money, they want to make the mad gains. So they want to make the mad gains, right? They want to make the 1000x. And Richard Hart really has made me, like, when I'm looking at it, he speaks a lot of sense that to see 100x in the Bitcoin, I mean, what's the likelihood of that, really? What's the likelihood of that compared to a new coin that launched from zero and that actually seems like it solves the things that Bitcoin is not doing at the moment, like paying interest? So if you make a coin that locks, then this smart contract, you can see when people are coming out of stake, so you can see when people can dump from the stakers. Then of course you already have a market with liquid tokens, so that can dump all the time, of course. But right now 71% of the coins are staked, so that you can't dump that. So that's already a lot of the token supply that you can't really dump. And yeah, it's like, it's really interesting, to be honest. Like, it's really interesting. So I look at everything in this industry. It's like nothing even comes close to uh the amount of haters against Richard Hart. That they say, as they said, they're not saying anything about the project. They come with personal attacks, and they're obsessed with someone else's money. Like, why are you obsessed about someone else's money? Like, why do you care? And why do you care so much about regular people making own decisions about where they want to spend their own money? Like, why do you care so much? It's like maybe they see an intelligent person, and maybe they want to check something out to see if it actually can be real this time. So yeah, it's, you can come at this in so many ways. Like, you can look at this in so many ways, like this project, and for anyone that hasn't explored it, and for anyone that hasn't like invested a year into it, or like a lot of hours grasping concept and pondering and thinking about it, for an outsider it's kind of hard to grasp it. This is not something you can grasp in 2 seconds. Maybe yes, probably, but it is I'm not sure what it is, to be honest. Like, it can because it's very interesting, because a lot of people say that tokens are being created super fast and so on, but let's look at this. Most coins, most hex tokens, which are going to be between, I think, 500 billion to 800 billion first year, most of those coins, most coins are going to come out the first 365 days based on people's bidding in the adoption amplifier. But year 2, year 3, and the future years, it's just going to be the inflation eventually, right? Or, but yeah, and when people stake longer and bigger, they're going to get that inflation, but that's only when they end the stake. So so people say the inflation is high, but it's only the first year all of those like massive amount of coins are coming out, and the market is obviously going to be crazy the first year. But after that, it's like, let's say 90% of coins or 80% of the coins are staked, because it's already 71%. And already right now, if you're just looking at the inflation, it's only at 5%. The rest is coming from all those bonuses the first year, where it's becoming more than just 5%, of course, because the first year is when eventually everyone's going to get the unclaimed Bitcoin claims, those hex tokens. They're going to get those, the stakers. So it's obviously more returns in hex tokens the first year. Obviously more. But if you're just looking at the inflation already right now, with 71% of tokens staked, that's only 5%. And if it goes up a little bit more, then it's 4 or 3 or 4%. And that is what Bitcoin at the moment, with inflation, they're having 3.7%, and nobody complains. Now that's kind of interesting, right? And that is, for Bitcoin, that took 10 years to get down to 3.7%. Next year, I think they're gonna half that as well. So it's gonna be obviously even lower. Then maybe it's like 2% or something like that. But still, it's like it took 10 years. So they have had massive inflation for 10 years. And it hasn't gone to people. It's only been going to the miners. And first you can mine with GPU, but as I understood it right now, you need an ASIC miner, and that's expensive, and that comes from China. You don't have access to that. So the regular person, I think it maybe even costs like $2,000 or $3,000 to even mine a Bitcoin. So that one is just the Bitcoin stuff. It's more like a centralized mafia in many ways, or like a protection racket. Now, it's very interesting because you seek for intelligence in this space, and you're studying success projects and failures, and you try to find more intelligent people, and nothing even comes close to Richard Hart at the moment. In terms of, from what I see, in trying to understand sort of this industry, he seems to be the top guy to sort of grasp these concepts and be smart and do some projects that's actually out and actually working right now today. Go.hex.win. It's just interesting. Like, if you're just looking at it, because I've been trying to find like, okay, can there be anything that or is it like something that I don't like with this project in terms of, it's like, if we're only talking about like, if it's only game theory and printing value, and if we can print the value to the stakers, then most of the value eventually can flow into this project. Like most of the token value from other tokens can flow into this project. If it is the case that we only need one amazing interest system, a blockchain based certificate of deposit. Now, as I said in the beginning, all this can fail. Something can happen with the smart contract. I don't know. Anything can happen, right? Electricity can go down. Um, the price can go to zero, and all this. It's probably going to be. I don't know. Like, I don't know, to be honest. No, and that's also what he's saying. Like, he don't know. He has no clue. So you learn a lot in this industry from both studying failure and success projects. And when I'm looking at Richard Hart's videos, very long videos, very intelligent videos, gives a lot of value for free, something that a lot of other people in this industry is not doing. It's like, it's very interesting, right? So he seems to be the real deal. When you're looking at the street smartness and that he actually can talk, there's not that many people in this industry that can talk, and we need people that can talk. Like, you really need real people that can talk and that understand things, and that has been here a long time. And he's 40 years old, so he's been here more years than many of us. Now, there are older people, of course. He hasn't been here longer but than you then, of course. But it kind of, he said that it feels kind of like when Bitcoin was $1. For me, it sort of feels as, this reminds me about around 2005 with the BitTorrent, and be able to sort of see the file being downloaded. And remember the moral panic, 2005, 2006, 2009, about the torrent stuff. This kind of feels like the same thing, but with smart contracts and interest and payments and tokens, and that you actually can print value and you can print money and you can give it instantly to the stakers without some silly exchanges or a third party or some other nonsense. It probably is going to take another 5 to 10 years for people to sort of be able to grasp these concepts. Usually it took with the BitTorrent, like even with the BitTorrent right now, 2019, people still don't grasp it, like many people. And maybe they don't even have to, because you have Netflix now. You have Netflix. You can, for a very, very low fee, you can get an amazing experience, and you don't have to do all the other nonsense. You don't even have to understand stuff. The crypto industry probably eventually is going to be the same, where you're going to get some other token, right? You don't have to understand exactly how it works, because all the intelligent stuff we already taken care of. We made it so easy, we're just going to give you money instantly, and you don't have to do anything. The complaints about this project has been kind of interesting to follow. So, for example, one of the super silly arguments that people have said was, well, the originator is getting a lot of Ethereum, and he's going to dump it. It can dump it anytime. It can dump it anytime. It's like, okay, yeah, it gets bonuses also from Hex And the concept there was that the origin address is going to dump the hex on the market. But it makes no sense because you have the Ethereum also. So $4 million, or I think around $4.5 million now, been sent in like 3 or 4 days to in Ethereum. So okay, that's funny. So why would you then like dump a little bit of hex on the market and ruin the price? That doesn't make any sense. You have all this hex already, or you have all this Ethereum already. Um, and and just because the originator is probably also is one of the biggest bag holder of hex, why would it dump it on other people and like cause the project to get like bad publicity or something? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like really, it's like if you hold a lot of hex, then you want that to go up in value, right? And if you've seen these videos that Richard Hart has been doing, you can see that he hates the dumpings, like when people are dumping markets and stuff like that. So it's like, in theory, whoever owns the origin address, it probably is not going to do that because it sounds pretty stupid for the project success, right? So what's fascinating about this project is if you're looking at it in 2 seconds, it looks very scammy, and because it's using the same kind of marketing tactics as scammers use, but without the dump and without the promises, and that makes it very different. Makes it very, very different. And a fascinating thing is that without the promises, and when the project now have all this money, they can invest that in advertising, right? So they have not made any promises, right? That they're going to do any advertising or that they're going to do some amazing stuff with that money. But if you're using, like, if you're sensible, probably something will be that money will probably be used to experiment. No promises, but it's still interesting. So it's also kind of funny how people always want to try to put it like, right now this is like a smart contract, right? Like the person is interacting with the smart contract. Like the person that's interacting with the network, they are the main person, right? They are doing they are minting the coins, and they are making, let's say, or they are doing they are basically running the whole show, right? You as miners are doing stuff on the Bitcoin, but the problem with they have expenses, right? Now you as a person, you don't really have, like, if you're looking at the hex, you don't have to pay for electricity. You don't need to have some computer or some ASIC miner to get the hex. You only have to do one stake, and then the coins get burned, and forever how long you want to stake. Then eventually you create them again, like when your stake ends. So game theory wise, it's interesting. It's fascinating, to be honest. And it's kind of funny because this is one of these projects where you have to use your own intelligence, right? You have to use your own intelligence, because even when a person has been looking at this project for a very, very long time, nobody really knows how it's going to play out, right? Nobody knows barely even what it is. So it's not one of these where, so all these other crypto projects, they make promises and they have funny ideas and stuff like that, and this is more like, oh, we used to have this contract, Uh, if you send something to it, you're really not gonna get anything. But if you describe the code of the contract, yeah, you sort of know what's gonna happen, right? Or how it's designed. So yeah, I mean, uh, Hex. I haven't heard a real honest criticism, or like I haven't really heard anyone be able to point out any real points of what is actually wrong or what may fail. That's what's most interesting. Not a single person. They all seem to be less educated. They seem to be more ignorant than Richard Hart. Oh, I don't have any evidence for that, but I mean, if you're looking at it, if you've seen the videos, you know, I think eventually we as humans, we're really gonna really expand our borders of ignorance. So if you're really intelligent, you sort of realize there's always more to learn. Well, the mainstream masses, they always want to pretend they know so much, but they don't really. But it gives them confidence, the mainstream masses. I'm fascinated by game theory, as I said earlier, because with artificial intelligence, we are moving towards this phase of use smart contracts that use can create value. And we're already doing it in the real world, but without smart contracts. Doing it in centralized banks, and it's only them that have the authority to do stuff. While here, you're basically running stuff. You're running stuff. Now, that's interesting. I'm looking at the screen of go.hex.win. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this video because I know what it takes to do videos. I've been doing vlogs for a year, almost daily. So when I see someone else doing kind of the same thing, it's very impressive, to be honest. And I'm only doing 10-minute vlog videos. He's doing 1 hour to 7 hour long videos. And I never seen anything like it in the past in this industry, or in almost any industry. It's so much proof of investment from him. He has invested so much time and energy into doing this. So he would have the most to lose to do some troll thing. So why would he do some troll thing? If you have interacted with this smart contract, you can clearly see it's working amazing. If you go to the Telegram chat, you see that it has 6,000 members and between 600 to 900 active people, and they're real and they're liking it. Never seen anything like that before in this industry. Like that kind of passion around something. It's very interesting. Also, it's very interesting because if you look at Bitcoin 10 years ago, so now we're having something new here coming 10 years later. And if you consider exponential curves, that maybe around every 10 years, you're probably going to see some revolutionary exponential curve of something amazing that just 100x the previous technology. Maybe this is it. So people usually look at linear curves of technology where it's more like you're probably going to go 9 years and almost nothing happening, and then you really get some new technology. So you had some amazing technology 10 years ago, and 9 years later you're still using the old technology, but then eventually on the 10th year you get some brand new technology at 100x the old technology, even though it may sound unreal and not possible. But more computing power, it makes new stuff happen. It makes people be able to experiment much more, doing stuff that wasn't possible in the past. So people usually they become very nostalgic about the good old days, and they usually make it more romantic. While reality is, it wasn't really that romantic, and we probably now 10 years later have figured out more intelligent stuff, and we can put it into production. So maybe this is it. Now, I don't know, to be honest. I have no idea. But I know that we're gonna know quite soon. We're gonna know quite soon how something plays out. And either way how it plays out, from failures you learn more probably than successes. So most of the crypto projects, they're basically doing the same thing. But here it seems like this project is trying to do something that those others haven't done or haven't tried. The combination of doing stuff in this mix where you're looking at what scams are doing and taking their marketing tactics, but actually making no promises and not promising any massive returns, right? But just experimenting with game theory and trustlessness, and seeing if you actually don't need all the payments to the miners, but actually if you can just pay the stakers, and if you're really fine because most of these blockchains are not really full or used that much. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's interesting. Experimentation in this industry is super important, because if people do not experiment, we do not know what works. And for me, it's very, very annoying when it's annoying to see people holding up the status quo, using old technology, outdated systems. It's very interesting also to see someone that can look at stuff in a more truthful way and be able to point out stuff that other people are not pointing out. So someone that has eyes to perceive things, which I see that Richard Hart seems to have, he perceives things that other people are missing out. So for example, a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, they completely missed the plus token scam of this year, that was the main thing that pumped this year the 5x Bitcoin price. Other Bitcoin maximalists, they're completely missing this point, and it's like maybe they BTC guys have no idea what they're doing. Because if the pump 2017 was just from Ethereum, it's like the Bitcoin should be way lower. So it's kind of funny in this industry because you have so many new people coming in fast, But to be able to understand stuff and really go deep into something is like you need to spend a lot of time and energy into a particular direction, and most people are not willing to do that. So it's like when people FOMO into this industry 2017, mainly 2018, they're just looking at their bags and like concerned that to time to do so much real thinking. And then when you get up some bull run or some pump, people also don't really have time to sort of look at stuff. So you almost get the most exciting stuff happen in some form of slow time. And you also, when maybe in that slow time, you see a lot of stuff failing. And in that time, you're gonna have some people building. Some people are gonna do something, start something amazing in a bear time. For example, VTEX Exchange from Vt Labs. They're doing some quite cool stuff that, and they're unnoticed because it's like low season. They're low key. It's like everyone goes back to just holding one of their favorite coins, and they're less open-minded. So this industry, like, it expands and contracts, and it seems like you get a lot of interesting stuff coming out in bear times, like Hex, the concept of paying interest to stakers. Now that's a fascinating concept, very, very fascinating. Why has no one else done it before? Because someone had to build this. So if you have the ultimate value retain system, then you only need one system, right? And can Bitcoin do that? They're never really gonna pay you to hold. So people, it's almost like people always gonna look for something better, something that pays, something that prints value faster, because everything else is being printed. Yeah, so we need to print also, and Bitcoin is printing every 10 minutes, but it's not going to you. It's not going to you, man. So that's kind of weird. You're not getting any Bitcoin inflation. So this industry is very young. It's a very young industry. So a lot of cool stuff are gonna probably come out here in the future. And you need people willing to invest time and energy and resources into showing that they actually care about doing stuff and actually care about trying to make experiments, trying to see what works and what doesn't work. You need kind of more stuff like that. Have a lot of buzzword projects, but almost nothing happens out of it. So it just seems like they just were faking it. I'm not seeing other projects doing so many videos. It's almost like they don't really care that much. Yeah. So innovation is fun to talk about, but not really that much is trying something revolutionary. Is Hex revolutionary? Game theory wise, it's the most fascinating thing I ever seen. The question is, can it get economic mass? Can it get economic mass? $4 million in $4 million in 3 days. and so much value coming out from the founder in videos, in free books, in free hacks. I gotta say that's pretty impressive. Um, just from the videos alone, the amount of entertainment and the amount of value in those videos. I mean, just that is worth a lot. So this kind of life here, it's kind of interesting because when someone gives a lot of value to you, you want to sort of return it in some way. And if a lot of these videos wouldn't have been made from Richard Hart, I don't think it would have gotten so much value coming in so fast. So giving value to other people works. It actually works. So people in many ways want to look at this industry and they want some fairy tale story that will like cause adoption. For example, XRP people, the Ripple people, they want to believe in the fantasy that the mainstream masses are all gonna come to their coin. And it's a fun story. It's a fun story to do YouTube videos about, like, oh, we have some new banks and partners and all that. But if you're looking at reality, it's like it's quite hard to see that regular people be so obsessed about XRP. I don't really see it happening. It seems like we're very far away from a reality like that. Like people barely already understand the world, so it's like, so people have their fantasies and the stories that they sort of want to believe in, and when something, and this really seems real, and the founder would have the most to lose to troll around. So like he would have the most to lose, right? Especially when you invested so much time and energy in talking and backing stuff with your words. Again, no promises, but he has explained the game theory behind the Hex smart contract. And it's just fascinating. Uh, it is so fascinating. I always considered with all these other projects, like, why are they so dumb to like run away with the value when they can hold up the value? Mainly because they have stupid systems and they're like, and they are actually real Ponzi schemes. So they promise that people, pay more, pay more, pay more. You're gonna get paid today. In this system, it's not like that. Like people are locking up the value for 300 days, 400 days, 700 days, 1,000 days. I saw one guy locked up for 2,500 days. People are locking up. People are locking up the Hex. You can't get it from them. It's locked up in the smart contract. Now you can buy some on the market. Sure, 29% right now. But I'm not sure if that's going to be there forever. And the share price is going up. Now, I couldn't understand what the share price actually is, how that sort of works and so on, and what it actually means. But I think it has something to do with ownership in the network. So people that stake earlier, they are getting more shares. And I think they can get more Hex from that. So I'm humbled by this project because it seems too good to be true. I know what they usually say. But I mean, I'm not looking at it from the profit that potentially, maybe by design, may come. It may come a loss. Who knows? I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm humbled by the game theory. Like that someone can be that smart to actually come up with this, and that no one else has done it. And I really tried to find criticism to this project, but I really haven't found any. And I watched all them videos, and I haven't seen a serious, real complaint. They all use trolls. They all use trolls. And it's so true, man. It's so true. I'm always curious what's around the corner. So, for example, when BTC maximalists on Twitter, when they shield the Bitcoin, and they think that everyone's gonna want their coin 2025, maybe, Bitcoin can still be cool, but it seems like they are a little bit far away from reality. It seems like we're gonna have some better technology coming out that just gives people money and just makes it easy. Okay, you don't have to be a part of a cult. You just have to click a few buttons. One button to stake, one button to unstake, and in between you don't have to do anything. It sounds pretty clever, to be honest, because people like easy systems. So it's kind of fascinating how value is being created and all this, and this whole concept that what if you can have game theory to make it so you have the best store of value? That means that would be worth above $10 trillion. And people obsess about market cap in this industry, but it's very interesting game theory wise with this because it's only coins that are in circulation that actually then matters. And I'm not even sure if market cap really makes any sense then. So why 10 trillion? Well, if it's just a store of value, and if it would be the best store of value, that it would have to exceed gold. And Bitcoin not doing anything, and I think it reached, what was that? Maybe $300 billion or something like that. And it's mainly used as a store of value, but you're not getting any interest. So for a billionaire, it seems like Hex makes more sense than the Bitcoin. And it's just so strange also with the Bitcoin because nobody really has an incentive to advertise it to the mainstream masses because nobody has money to do it. But here we have the money, or here we have a bag of money. $4 million in 4 days. I mean, that's a lot of money, and you need a lot of money to do a lot of cool stuff. And on top of that, I think it has the originators have 50% of all the hex. So why would that address need to dump hex? It is the most stupidest thing I ever heard. Now, the thing with this industry is you're supposed to be allowed to be wrong about things. Like, this can actually turn out to be, I don't know, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe, maybe it becomes a failure or something crazy happens or something unexpected happens. I don't really know. But I can only say it's like people should be allowed to like look at things with their own eyes, how it is right now, and we don't know how the future is going to play out. Like we have so little data we have gathered from the world, and we just try to use the best of our sense perceptions and try to make sense of things, and many times we're wrong about things. So who knows, really? Who knows? Who knows? But it seems like this is the most intelligent thing at the moment in this whole crypto industry. And you can mainly see that from the way people are approaching at it. Like, you know, that when people are saying this is the stupidest thing ever, it has triggered something in them, that it's almost like they met someone that seems to be smarter, and they're trying to stay relevant just by trash talking someone, or and it seems like, okay, seems like there's some truth here somewhere, and it's probably truth in the project then, because all the other people hating on the project, they usually attack the person, and that's kind of weird. They are not really looking at the ideas of the project, and they get so triggered by ones and zeros in a computer, and so obsessed about ownership. And this is computer code, it can't really have an owner. It's like, please, please. It confronts people's beliefs, it confronts people's ideas about authority, and people probably not really ready for a super free system that can empower them a lot. But yeah. So to summarize this video, it's interesting. I like intelligence. I like to find people that seems to use perception and see something that I don't see. That means that they are have a more clear view of what is actually really going on in the world. And it seems like the project founder here really has an ability to see things. He's like a captain of a ship, in terms of, just using metaphors here, like a captain of a ship that's seeing things that the other guys on the ship, they can't really see that good. They don't have that great perception of projects and software and technology, and how it actually is, and what actually goes on in the human mind, and how people relate into things. It's like, and how success being created, all this. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's interesting. So people in this industry, right, to make money, and most people want an easy way to make money. In Hex, or I should say, make value in Hex, and game design, Hex should be more scarce after the first year. So it seems like it's pretty smart to make a system that just pays stakers, and that's in a smart contract, and you just need a MetaMask wallet. I don't know, it seems pretty clever. Don't have to think so much. It fits the mainstream masses quite easy. And if this industry, if it's only about staking eventually, I mean, we're gonna have computers that are so intelligent, and they're gonna build so smart systems. They're completely gonna be independent of humans, and that's nice, because people are really gonna be able to more and more enjoy the benefits of smart technology, or smart contracts, and not just buzzwords, but contracts that works today, and that actually fits an industry market. And this one tries to cover the interest aspect. And if you go look at the traditional banks, they, like, their interests suck. Like the certificate of deposit, like the value you get, suck. You usually have to have a lot of money, and in many banks now you can't even get like a guaranteed return. But this, in Hex, it's like a guaranteed return, which is interesting. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. And I want to say thanks to Richard Hart for all the entertainment in the videos. Like, it's been so much value given for free, and that's just amazing, to be honest. really, really, really cool. Because no one else in this industry is doing that with that level of intensity. Um, it really is something unique. So it's going to be interesting to follow this, especially game theory wise. Will it be some big thing that fails? Um, it's interesting to read chats and see people's comments. And it seems like this project, the Hex project, is going to be endless, limitless entertainment in 2020s. See how people react to it. See if see how it goes. See how it goes, basically. Because we're going to discover something new. We're going to discover something new if this project is a success, and we also at the same time going to discover something new if it's a failure. Because if it's a failure, maybe you can build a better model. Maybe you can learn something. Maybe you can improve the system. Because you can see what actually failed. Now, as I said, we don't know. Can be success, can be a failure. But it seems like we're gonna know quite soon, in a couple of years at least. But that's kind of soon also. I mean, this year kind of started and now it's kind of ending. So 1 year goes pretty fast. And there's not that much else interesting happening in this industry at the moment. So it's fun when people try new things. It's exciting, to be honest. So that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. Hex. Yeah. Have a great day, YouTube and Steam blockchain. Bye bye.